Alright guys, so this is what our finished product is going to look like on my cute little bumblebee. So in order to start, what we're going to do first is we're going to come up here to the top and hit File, and then hit Open. When that pops up, I'm going to click on my little bee image, and then it'll open it up like that. So as you can see, my artboard is not the right size, which is why it's only white there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the Layers button. I'm going to click on that, and then you're going to see artboards right here. Click on that, and then there's going to be a little square. So we're going to click on that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make it a little bit taller so that our image fits on the screen. So now we're going to click this button, which closes it out. And then we're going to make sure we have our image selected. And we're going to come up here to Image Trace. It's going to make your image look really funny, but that's completely fine. So for those of you that don't have the Image Trace button on the side, what you're going to do is you're going to come up here to Window, and then you're going to hit Image Trace. And then it's going to pull this up. And then what I do is I go right like this, and it'll put it on your toolbar so that next time you don't have to do that. So now you're going to hit Image Trace, and then you're going to come down here to Mode, and you're going to click on that, and then it's going to say Color. So click on Color. It'll pop up like this, and then right now it's at 30 colors. We don't need that many, so we're going to just click it and then scale it back. I always like to do fewer colors first, and then I can always add more if I need to, just because the goal is to have it the lowest amount of colors as possible. So it looks like this one is 5 colors, so then after I get it how I like it, I'm going to come up here and hit Expand. So now we have our image and it's all traced out for us. So the next step that I do is I come up here to Direct Selection, and then I hit other places so that it will unselect the image. So now when I come up, it's going to pull up my little anchor points. And so when I cut the image, because I cut my images out of vinyl, so when I cut the image, I don't want it to cut a big white block. So now what I do is there's 2 different ways you can do this. So the first way is just to click on every color that you don't want, and you're just going to hit delete, and then the color is no longer there. The easier way that I do it is you're going to hit that color, and this only works if all of that color that you want to be gone is all the same color. So since it is that way for me, I just click on that, and then I'm going to come up here to select, and I'm going to hit Same, and then I'm going to hit Fill Color. And it pulls up all the spots that have that same color, and then you can delete it from there. And it's just a faster way to do it. So now that that's done, I'm going to come down here to the corner where it says 100%, and I'm going to zoom in. You can zoom in however much you want, it just helps me see. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our Layers tool again, and there's a little button right here, like a little triangle. So you're going to click that, and then it's going to pull down your group, and then you're going to click that. So what it's doing is it's showing you every single path that it makes. So for me, since I cut all of my images out of vinyl, I like it when there is no holes, I guess, underneath the image. So right now, if I take this little cheek and I move it, there's white. I don't like when there's white. I like it when it's all yellow, so that when it cuts out, it doesn't cut out random things. So I'm going to press Control Z and put it back. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to use the Shaper tool, because this is a lot faster for me. So the Shaper tool is this one with like the little circle and the pencil. So you're going to click on that, and then it comes up with this little icon, like this little doodad with your cursor. So now you're just going to draw whatever, and it's going to pop out whatever shape that it's closest to. So now I'm going to come up here to the selection tool, and then I'm going to click my image. So right now it is white on the inside and it has a black outline. So there's two ways to do it. So one way is that you come down here, and this is the fill color, and then this is the outline color. So you can click the outline and then hit this button, which means it's not going to have an outline. And then go back to the fill so that when you change the color, it doesn't change the outline color, it changes the fill color. The other way to do it, I'm going to put this back to black, is that you're going to come up here and you're going to, so you see this is a fill color and this is an outline color. You're going to click the button and then there's that same line. So you can click it there. So now that we did that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to just try and make it the exact same size of the one that's there already. That way I'm not doing a bunch of deletes and everything like that, but I will show you how to do that as well. And then you can pick whichever way is easier for you. This is just the easier way for me. So now that I have that, I'm going to go back to the shaper tool, and I'm going to make another circle for the body. So again, I'm going to erase the outline, and then I'm going to bring it down here and try and make it the exact same size as what's there already. All right, so now that I did that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and you're going to see how it overlaps. So I'm going to hit the shift button, and then I'm going to click the other circle, so the one that I have highlighted right now, and then I'm going to click this other one so that it highlights both of them. So what that does is it's just making it so that in a second I'm going to make this all one path so that it's not two separate objects. So now that I have that done and I've highlighted that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to Window again, and now what I'm going to click is Pathfinder. So it's this one right here, and then same thing. So I'm going to drag it over here. That way I don't have to worry about finding it later. And it's this the ones that look like squares. So you're going to click on that, and then it pops out like this. So the one that we want right now is this one, and it's Unite. So what it's going to do is it's going to mend those two circles together. So if you click on that, you can see it takes away all the lines, and now it's just one solid path or one solid cut for me. So now that we did that, I'm going to move it over, and then I'm going to take the eyedropper, which is right here on your little toolbar, because I want to make this shape the exact same color as what the bee already is. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click this yellow color, and it changes the color. So important thing after you use the eyedropper tool is to always hit a selection tool. You can hit either or, but if you don't, it's going to keep pulling that color that you click on. So that's super important to remember. So like I said, I was going to show you how you can still use this if you didn't want to make new shapes. So what you can do is I'm going to hit this one that shows up all the anchor points, and it's going to pull it up like this. So now what I'm going to do is, because every outline of this is a cut in my world. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit one of the anchor points that you don't want it to cut anymore, and then you're going to hit delete twice. And so now it's not going to cut that part out of the image. So you can either do it that way or you can do it this way. I just think this way is quicker, but it's whatever is right for you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this color and I'm going to move this back over here. So obviously you can see that our yellow is in the front, which we don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the path, I'm going to go into our layers panel again, and then this path, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to drag it down beneath the group. And then it's going to put all the grouping ahead of the yellow. So as you can see, the yellow is now in the back. So with that being done, the other thing that I wanted to do was I don't like when lines are a little wobbly because that would be it cutting out really funny for me. So I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to zoom in a lot. So I'm going to come down here and you see how it's supposed to be, if you look at the yellow, it's supposed to be a really arched line, but it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the brown and I'm going to pull it out just a little bit and it'll pop up saying that it's intersecting, which is a good thing. So then I'm going to do the same thing down here. And then you'll notice that there's these little handles. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click on the handle and it's going to make it an arch. So now we have a nice arch. And then if you want it to be a little bit different, you can pull the handles out or you can pull the handles in. Just really depends on the line that you need to make. So that looks good to me. So now what I'm going to do is do it to the other side. So this side looks like it needs to come in just a little bit if I don't move it. And then this needs to come out. And then I'm going to make it a circle again. Okay, so I'm going to fix the bottom brown one. Well, the bottom's actually pretty good, but I'm just going to pull it in just a little bit. And then I'm going to make the curve just a little less severe. Same thing other side. Okay, so now that we did that, you can still see that our yellow is not how it's supposed to be. That's because of the blue. So there's two ways you can do this. First way is to go on the blue, and then you can do the same thing that we did to the brown. So you can pull it out and then just try and find the curves of the line that you're trying to do. For me, it's easier to pull the curve back farther than I know it is. That way it's easier for me to see it so that I can do it. But you'll find your own way of figuring out how to do it. This is just the way that is easiest for me. All right, so now we have a nice pretty curve after I fix the brown. Now, another thing is that you can see that this point isn't making a continuous curve. So sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes not so much. There is a way to fix it. So I'm going to click on the actual anchor point itself, and then you're going to come up here and there's going to be convert, and there's two options. So this one is going to make it so that it's a corner. This one's going to make it so that the handles are connected so that it doesn't make a different angle. So I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to make it smoother. That way it's easier for me to find a continuous line, as you can see. So you can do it that way, like I did on this side, or the other way that you can do it, just depends on what you need it for, is you're going to come back to your layers panel. It's going to be your best friend. So I'm going to open up my layers, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that I can see them all. So we're going to click on that path again, so the yellow path. And then we're going to pull this up, and we're going to put it right here. So what it does is it puts it ahead of the wings. So I'm going to move the brown up as well. But that way, when you look at the image, you see the yellow over what it is. So you can see when I'm over here on the wing that it's a different angle. But when I let go of it, you can only see the yellow. That's because the yellow is in front of the blue. So it's just whatever you need it for and whatever way is easier for you. For me, I have to do it the long way because it sits better when it's cut out in vinyl. But it's just whatever way is easiest. So now that I have it pretty close to what I usually like it, oh yeah, and then the other thing is that if you want to move an anchor point but you can't move it that small of a section with your mouse, what you can do is you can click on the anchor point and you can actually use the arrows. So the arrows will move it wherever you want it to. And then the other way is to zoom in some more. So you can zoom in, and then that way it gets it a lot closer. Okay, so I'm going to come down here, and my little stinger is supposed to be a point. So if you notice, there's like this little circle. So if you click on that circle, you can pull that circle down, and it's going to make it into a point. So it saves you a lot of time than having to build that point. But I don't like that it curves in like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the anchor that's up here. That way it pulls up my handles, and then I can take the handle and I can make the curve just a little bit different. That way it kind of matches the other side. And then I can put it right up here, and it's on top of the yellow, so I don't have to worry about that. And then sorry, I have to clean it up as I go. Okay, so then we can come up here. So these came out pretty clean, so I don't really need to do anything to those, but what you can do if they don't come out clean, like they're kind of really wobbly and jaggedy, what you can do is you can go back to the shaper tool and make those circles and do the same thing that we did with the yellow. So those look good to me, so I'm going to come up here, and you see how there's these weird lines? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this anchor, and I'm actually going to delete it. So you hit the delete button, and it's going to make a nice line. So after you delete an anchor point, it's really important for you to go into Pathfinder and hit Unite. If you don't, then it's still open, and then it just makes everything go crazy. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. That way it's not so wibbly wobbly. So again, I come up here, and there's this. So I'm going to hit the anchor point, and I'm going to delete it. And since this anchor point is right next to it, I don't have to hit Unite yet. So I'm going to delete that as well. Now I'm going to hit Unite. So this one, just like we did on the stinger, you can do the same thing. So you can hit the circle and actually pull it down, and it'll make it a curve. Personally, I like hitting it and hitting the convert tool that we used earlier, because it pulls the handles out and I think it just makes it look a lot neater. But again, it's whatever you think looks the best. So now that I have all of that done, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to zoom out again. So I'm going to zoom out to 150, and I'm having a hard time finding my wings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and then we're going to do shift and then click on the other side as well. And then I'm going to come up here to the color palette and you click that. So there's two ways to do it. You can do it here, which is really nice if you need black or white, because then it's right there and right there. But personally, when I do colors kind of like this, I come into this button. So color guide. So what you're going to do is, this is the color that it is right now. So I click on that and it's going to give me gradients. So what I can do is I can come into all of these, and especially if I'm just trying to get a brighter color, I'll go into monochromatic, and then I can just make it a little bit brighter. That way I don't have as much trouble seeing it. So now that we have all of that done, the next thing is to make everything a compound path. So what that does is it's going to combine all of the colors so that when you are trying to edit it or anything like that, all of the colors are joined. And especially for me, when I'm cutting out in vinyl, it will cut it all out on the same piece of vinyl and I don't have to do multiple pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to click one of the image parts, and then you're going to do what I said earlier. So you're going to come up here and you're going to hit select, and you're going to hit same, and then same fill color. So it's going to pull up anything that fill color is in. So there are two ways to do this. So the first way is to come up and you're going to hit object, and you're going to come down here to compound path, and then you're going to hit make. And so now when you click on the pink part, it's going to pull up both pink parts. It's not going to pull up just one. So that's the first way to do it. The other way to do it is to click on the color. You're going to do the same thing, hit same, and then fill color. And then the other way you can do it is you hit control and then you hit the 8. So it does the same thing, it's just one way is a little bit quicker than the other, but if you can remember one way more than the other, then that's the way you can do it. But I find that going up here and hitting same fill color is a lot quicker than the alternatives, so that's what I do. So now when you come over here to your layers panel, you're going to see that everything is a compound path except for our yellow circles, because obviously there's only one, but if you're like me and you're a little OCD, you can make it say compound path by just hitting control 8 again, and then that way it makes everything a compound path. So if you click on it, it brings up that entire color. So now that that's done, I decided that this bee needed a bow because I'm bow obsessed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to file. We're going to hit open again, and I'm going to hit the bow image. So we're going to hit image trace, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to hit the image trace button. We're going to hit color, and then there's only 2 colors in this image, so I can pull it all the way down to the end. After it's done that, you're going to hit expand again. I close that out, and then you make sure you're in the direct selection tool. So this is the one that pulls up all the anchor points. So I click somewhere else so that it takes all of the selection off of the image. That way I can click one specific color. Same thing we did on the bee. So I'm going to come up here to select same, fill color, and I'm going to delete everything. And then this is just one nice path. So if I come in here, it's just one nice compound path. So now what I want to do is I'm going to highlight everything. So I'm going to highlight it by just dragging, and you make like a little box around it, or you can hit Control A to highlight everything, and then I'm going to copy it and paste it into our B image. So I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to come over to our B image up here, and then I'm going to hit Control V, and it's going to pull it out. So now what I want to do is I'm going to hit the selection tool, and then the reason why I use this one is because this is easier for you to size it. So I'm going to pull the size down because nobody needs a bow that covers their face. And then if you come up to the corner, you'll notice that there's a little kind of curved arrows. So you're going to hit that, and it's going to let you tilt it. So that looks about right to me. So I'm going to leave it like that. And then if you wanted it so that it was all in one group, what you can do is when you're in your layers panel, you can take the bow compound path, and then you can pull it down into this group. That way it's all in one group. But that's a personal thing. And then the other part of the image that we started with was I put be happy. So now that we're done with the bow, I'm going to exit out of that, and then I don't need to save it. So I'm going to go back to our B image, and then on the toolbar, we're going to hit the type tool. Down here, I'm going to just click a random spot wherever I want our type tool to show up. So now that it's there, I'm going to put be happy. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to hit the selection tool, and I'm going to make it bigger. So you can either make it bigger that way, or you can make it bigger up here. You'll see that there is a font size. So you can do it either way. It's just this way is faster to me, and so that's the way that I do it. So now I want to change the color, and I want to change the font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it, and then it's going to bring up my cursor so that I can highlight everything. So up here, you're going to hit the character so that we can change the font. So I like script fonts, so that's what I chose. So when I can find it, we're going to do script empty bold. So you're going to just hit that, and then it changes the font for you. So now I want to change the color. So remember how we went in to change the color of the wings? Well, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to hit the little artist palette right over here. And then, like I said, I like using the color guide because I think it's easier. So I want a pink color for this. So I see a pink color right here, so I'm going to hit that one. And then I'm going to pick this pink color because I think it's pretty. And then you just have to click somewhere else to see the true color, because when you have it highlighted, it's going to show you the opposite. So again, I'm going to hit the selection tool, and so now we have that. The only thing that we have left to do is we have to make this a path. Right now it's not a path, it's just text. So what I'm going to do is I am going to again highlight everything, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hit once I find it. So the other way that I know how to do it is you hit Control, and then you hit Shift with it, and then you're going to hit the O button. What it's going to do is it's going to make outlines. So as you can see, it kind of did a little thing. So that's the other way to do it, but I'm going to find it in here. Because now I'm determined. Or maybe not. Okay, so you're going to hit type, and then you're going to come down here to create outlines. And again, it's going to show you the exact same way that I just said, so shift, control, and the letter O. So I'm going to hit it, and it's going to make it so that it makes it so that it has anchor points. So if I hit the direct selection tool, it'll pull up all the anchor points that it has. But I don't need that tool right now, so the only issue is right now it splits up every letter, so I don't need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the Pathfinder tool again, and I'm going to hit Unite. So it takes all of those out so that it will be all one cut of vinyl for me. And then after I do that, I make it a compound path. So again, you can do Control and 8, or you can come down to Object, Compound Path, and then Make. And then that's it. So if we pull up our layers panel, we have our compound path of Be Happy, which is our letters, and then we have the rest of it. So now you made your little bee file. And then what you can do is there's two things that I usually do when I'm done. So I'll come up to File, and then the first thing that I do is I'll hit Export, and I'll hit Export As. So what it's going to do is it's going to give me the option to save it as a JPEG or a PNG. I like PNGs better because for what I use them for, they come out a little bit cleaner. So I click PNG, and I'm going to name it Be Happy. And then I'm going to hit Export. And then as you can see, it makes the background completely transparent and everything like that. That way, it's a lot easier if I ever do lose my SVG file, that I can just pull this up and then it makes it a little bit quicker. So I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to save it as a PNG. And then, like I said, I save everything as an SVG file because I can upload it straight to my cutting machine and I don't have to program it at all. So the other way that I do it is I come up and I hit File, and then you're going to hit Save As. And then right here it says Save As Type. I don't need to save it as an Illustrator. I need to save it as an SVG. So I hit SVG, and then I'm going to hit Be Happy, and as you can see, this is the first one so that I could show you guys what it turned out as. So I'm going to put Be Happy 1 just so that I can save it, and then same thing, you just hit OK, and then now we have our new file, and then you're done. So I hope this helps.